I am Zoe's older sister. My name is Claire. I am 27 years old, and I work at a small bookshop near our parents' house. My life is quiet, simple. Nobody knows my name on the internet. Nobody follows me on social media. But my little sister? Everybody knows Zoe, and I want to tell you something about her. Something the cameras never showed. Something the millions of followers never knew. I want to tell you because I was there. I was always there, standing just outside the frame, watching everything happen, and understanding nothing until it was too late. Let me start from the first time I visited her photo studio. It was a Thursday afternoon. Zoe asked me to come and see the wedding photo shoot for a magazine cover. "It'll be fun," she said on the phone. "You can see how it all works." When I walked in, I could not believe my eyes. The lights were so bright they made my eyes hurt. The room was full of people moving fast. Stylists, makeup artists, camera operators, assistants carrying coffee cups. Everyone was talking at the same time. And in the center of it all stood Zoe and Nathan. She was wearing a long white dress covered in tiny crystals. He was in a dark gray suit with a flower on his chest. They looked perfect, like two people on the front of a greeting card. The photographer raised his camera and said, "Okay, look at each other. Big smiles. Show me love." And they did. Nathan put his arm around Zoe's waist. She leaned into him. They smiled, those big, warm, beautiful smiles. The kind of smiles that make you believe in fairy tales. Click, click, click. Perfect. Hold that. But then the photographer stopped to change the camera lens. And that is when I saw it. Nathan dropped his hand from Zoe's waist, like he was letting go of something dirty. He stepped away from her, pulled out his phone, and started scrolling without a word. Zoe stood alone in that huge, expensive dress, staring at the floor. Not angry, not sad, just empty. Nobody in the room seemed to notice. Or maybe they noticed but did not care. The silence between them was louder than all the cameras. I walked to her during the break. She was drinking water from a small bottle. Up close, I could see the makeup covering the dark circles under her eyes. "You okay?" I asked. Her smile was quick and did not reach her eyes. "I'm fine, Claire. It's just work. Just work." That is what love had become for my sister. Just work. This was not just any wedding. This was the biggest event of the year for social media. 10 big brands were paying money to sponsor it. 2 million people were going to watch the ceremony live on the internet. There were contracts and plans and schedules for every minute of the day. My sister was not planning a wedding. She was planning a show. I remember when Zoe first met Nathan, 3 years ago. She called me at midnight, so excited she could barely talk. "Claire, I met someone amazing. He makes travel videos. He is funny and kind, and he looked at me like I was the only person in the room." Back then, they were real. They made silly videos in the kitchen, laughing and throwing flour at each other. They danced in the rain outside a coffee shop. Their followers loved them because you could see the love was true. But then the followers became millions. The brands started calling, the money started coming, and somewhere along the way, the contracts replaced the feelings. The business meetings replaced the dinner dates. After the photo shoot, I found Zoe alone in the dressing room. She sat in front of a big mirror with bright lights around it. She stared at her reflection for a long time without moving. She touched the white fabric of her dress. She fixed a small piece of hair near her ear. "You look beautiful," I said from the doorway. She did not turn around. She just looked at herself in the mirror. "I don't see a bride, Claire," she whispered. "I see a product. Something in a nice box, ready for people to buy." I wanted to hold her. I wanted to say, "Then don't do it. Walk away. I will help you." But I could see in her face that it was not that simple. Nothing in Zoe's world was simple anymore. That was 6 weeks before the wedding. But the real story started much earlier. 6 months before the wedding, on a cold, rainy night in October, my phone rang at 2 in the morning. It was Zoe. When I answered, I heard something I had never heard before. My sister was crying so hard she could not breathe. She was making small sounds, like a child who fell and hurt something deep inside. "Zoe? What happened? Are you hurt? Talk to me." My hands were shaking. I sat up in bed. My heart was beating fast. It took her a long, long time to speak. Between the crying and the gasping for air, she told me the story piece by piece. She had picked up Nathan's phone by accident. He was in the shower. His phone was on the kitchen table, and a message came in. The screen showed a preview, a heart emoji, and the words, "I miss your touch." Zoe told me she did not plan to look, but her fingers moved before her brain could stop them. She unlocked the phone, and then she saw everything. Messages. So many messages. Photos, voice notes, all between Nathan and a young model named Kiera. Sweet words, romantic words, private words, things Nathan had never said to Zoe, things that should have belonged to my sister, but were given to someone else. The messages went back 4 months. I sat on my bed in the dark, holding the phone to my ear, listening to my sister's heart break through the speaker. I wanted to drive to Nathan's apartment and scream at him. I wanted to break something. I wanted to fix this, the way big sisters are supposed to fix things. But Zoe needed me to be calm. So I stayed on the phone. I stayed quiet. I let her cry until the crying slowly became silence. That was the last time Zoe allowed herself to cry about Nathan. She told me this weeks later, in a voice that sounded nothing like the sister I grew up with. A flat, controlled voice. "I'm done with tears, Claire. I cried enough that night to last a lifetime. I have nothing left." She confronted Nathan the next morning. I was not there, but she told me every word. She showed him the phone. She showed him the messages. She stood in front of him and waited. Waited for guilt. Waited for sorry. Waited for something that showed he still had a heart. Nathan did not give her any of those things. He got angry. Not because he was caught being unfaithful. No, he was angry because he was afraid. Afraid of the scandal. Afraid of losing followers. Afraid of what this would do to his brand. "Are you going to post about this?" That was his first question. Not "I'm sorry." Not "please forgive me." Not "let me explain." His first thought was the internet. And then he said the words that broke whatever small piece of hope was still alive inside my sister. "Love is a feeling, Zoe. But a wedding is a business. Stop being childish." When she told me this, sitting across from me at a cafe, speaking in that quiet, dead voice, I felt sick, like poison was running through my body. "Leave him," I said. "Just leave. Tonight, I will help you pack." She shook her head slowly. "You don't understand, Claire. I can't. Not yet." She was right. I did not understand. Not then. 2 weeks after that night, Zoe had a meeting with her brand manager, a woman named Monica. Zoe asked me to come with her. She needed someone on her side of the table. Monica was a thin woman with sharp glasses and a sharper voice. She sat across from us, in a glass office, on the 22nd floor of a tall building downtown. She had a thick folder of papers in front of her, and she opened it with the calm expression of someone talking about the weather, not about my sister's life. "Zoe, I heard there are some personal problems between you and Nathan," Monica said. Zoe opened her mouth to speak, but Monica did not wait. "Let me be clear before you say anything. You signed contracts with 10 brands. Cancellation penalty fees are written in every single one. If this wedding does not happen, you will owe hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your savings, your apartment, your career, all gone." I looked at Zoe. Her face was white. Monica continued. She had a plan. She called it the 2-year strategy. The plan was simple and horrible. Zoe and Nathan would get married. They would pretend to be happy for 2 years. They would make videos, attend events, do brand deals, and smile for the cameras. Then, after 2 years, they would divorce. And the divorce itself would create a new wave of attention and money. Monica even had sponsorship ideas for the divorce. "It's business, Zoe," Monica said, closing the folder. "Think of it as a long-term project with a planned exit." I could not stay quiet. "This is my sister's life," I said. "Not a business project. She is a human being." Monica looked at me the way you look at a fly near your lunch, annoyed but not interested. "Claire, with respect, this is not your meeting." Zoe put her hand on my arm under the table. "It's okay," she whispered. But nothing was okay. Later that same week, I saw something that still hurts me to remember. Zoe was at the venue with Nathan and the video director, planning the ceremony. I sat in the back row, watching. Nathan leaned over a laptop screen with the director, pointing and laughing. "This angle is perfect for the altar," Nathan said. "Put the main camera here. I want the viewers to see the tears. People love tears." The director nodded. "And the drone shot when you kiss?" "Yes. Wide shot for the kiss. Close up for the ring. We can sell the footage to at least 3 channels after." They talked about my sister's wedding like it was a product launch. They discussed camera angles, lighting, and audience engagement numbers. Not once did they mention love. Not once did they mention Zoe's feelings. She was standing near the window, listening to every word. Her face showed nothing, but I saw her hands. They were holding each other so tight her knuckles turned white. In the weeks before the wedding, I watched my sister change. She became quieter, more controlled, more careful with every word. One evening, I went to her apartment without calling first. The door was unlocked. I walked in and found her standing in the bathroom, practicing in front of the mirror. She was smiling. That big, perfect, camera-ready smile. She held it for 10 seconds. Then she dropped it. Then she smiled again. Over and over, like someone training a muscle. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Practicing," she said without looking at me. "I need to learn how to keep my eyes dry." On the counter next to the sink, I saw a piece of paper. Her wedding vows. She picked it up and read out loud in a flat, mechanical voice. "Nathan, you are my best friend, my partner, my everything. I choose you today and every day. No feeling, no warmth, just sounds coming out of her mouth. I leaned against the doorframe and watched my sister build a wall around her heart, brick by brick, smile by smile. She was turning herself into a machine that could walk down the aisle without breaking, and I just stood there, outside the bathroom door, watching, doing nothing useful. I did not know what to do. Then came the morning of the wedding, a Saturday in May. I woke up at 5 and drove to the resort. It was a 5-star hotel on the coast, with white buildings and palm trees and the smell of salt in the air. White flowers covered every surface. Crystal lights hung from the ceiling of the giant wedding tent. Cameras were set up in every corner, already recording. I found Zoe in the bridal suite on the 3rd floor. 3 makeup artists were working on her face. A stylist was adjusting her dress. It was a $50,000 dress, heavy with tiny diamonds and layers of white silk. Assistants ran in and out of the room carrying shoes, jewelry, and emergency sewing kits. She looked like a queen. She also looked like someone walking toward something she could not stop. "How do you feel?" I asked, standing near the window. "Ready," she said. One word. No smile. Ready. I sat in the corner on a white chair and watched the team prepare my sister for the biggest performance of her life. I held my coffee cup with both hands because my fingers were cold, even though the morning was warm. At exactly 9:30, Zoe's phone buzzed on the makeup table. A message from an unknown number. She picked it up. I watched her face change. Not a big change. Small. Her eyes got a little wider. Her lips pressed together into a thin line. Her hand became very, very still. "Zoe?" I put down my coffee and stood up. "What is it?" She did not speak. She just held the phone out toward me. It was a video. Short. Maybe 2 minutes. Someone had recorded it with a hidden camera in what looked like a men's dressing room in this same building. I could see the same wallpaper, the same gold light fixtures. Nathan was in the video. And next to him, sitting on the arm of a chair, was Kiera. Nathan was laughing, relaxed, happy, like a man at a party, not a man about to get married. He was talking about Zoe. His voice came through the tiny phone speaker, and every word felt like a knife. He called my sister a money-printing machine. He said she was easy to trick, because she still believed they were building something real together. He promised Kiera that after the wedding, he would have enough money from the brand deals to buy her an apartment. "Just let Zoe play the happy bride for today," he said. And then he laughed, and Kiera laughed with him. The video was recorded 30 minutes ago. In this building, while my sister sat in a chair having her makeup done for his wedding, I looked at Zoe. I expected tears. I expected screaming. I expected her to throw the phone across the room. She did none of those things. She put the phone down carefully on the table. She looked at herself in the mirror. She fixed one small hair near her ear, and she was calm. Not peaceful calm. Something else. Something cold and clear and almost frightening, like ice forming over deep water. "Fine," she said quietly. "He wants a big show? I'll give him a show he will never forget." My heart was beating so fast I could feel it in my throat. "Zoe, what are you going to do?" She turned and looked at me. And for the first time in 6 months, I saw something alive in her eyes. Something sharp. Something made of steel. "Stay close to me, Claire," she said. "Just stay close." At 11 o'clock, the ceremony began. The tent was full. 300 guests sat in white chairs, women in colorful dresses, men in dark suits, cameras everywhere, including the live stream cameras. The counter on the screen showed 1.8 million viewers and growing. Soft violin music filled the warm air. White flower petals were scattered on the ground. The altar was covered with roses and golden lights. It looked like a scene from a beautiful dream. Nathan stood at the front in a perfect black suit. He smiled at the guests. He smiled at the cameras. He played his role with the skill of a man who had been performing his whole life. Then the music changed. Everyone stood up, and Zoe appeared at the entrance of the tent. She was beautiful, more beautiful than I had ever seen her. She walked slowly, each step careful and graceful, her dress flowing like water behind her. The guests whispered. The cameras clicked and flashed. Some people were already wiping their eyes. She reached the altar. Nathan took her hand and held it gently. He looked into her eyes with an expression of deep love. I swear, if you did not know the truth, you would believe every second of it. The official began the ceremony. He spoke about love, trust, loyalty, and partnership. Nathan nodded at all the right moments. Zoe stood still and listened with a small smile. Then it was time for the vows. Nathan went first. He pulled a small card from his pocket and began to read. Beautiful words about forever and how Zoe was the love of his life. His voice was warm and practiced. Several guests were crying. I stood at the side of the tent, near the sound equipment. My hands were shaking, because Zoe had told me, just 10 minutes before the ceremony, exactly what she planned to do. She told me she had spoken to the young technician the night before. She had a copy of the video on a small drive, and I did not stop her. Maybe I should have. Maybe a good sister would have grabbed her arm and said, "Don't. Let's just leave quietly. You can fight later." But I was tired. So tired of watching Zoe pretend. Tahoshid of watching Nathan win. Tired of standing aside and doing nothing useful. So I said, "Okay, I'm right here." It was Zoe's turn. She stood up straight. She did not hold a card. She did not hold a paper. She looked at Nathan for a long moment. Then she slowly turned to face the main camera. She looked directly into the lens. She smiled. A real smile this time. Then she gave a small nod. Just a tiny movement of her head toward the back of the tent. The technician pressed a button. The giant LED screen behind the altar changed. The romantic slideshow of Zoe and Nathan disappeared, and the video began to play. Nathan's voice filled the wedding tent through the speakers. She's a money-printing machine. Easy to trick. Just let Zoe play the happy bride for now. The tent went completely silent. 300 people stopped breathing. The live stream counter jumped past 2.5 million. Nathan's face turned white. His mouth fell open. He looked at the screen, then at Zoe, then back at the screen. His hand dropped to his side. Zoe picked up the microphone from the altar. Her hand was steady. Her voice was clear and strong. "This is the real love story you all should be watching," she said. She paused. "My wedding is without tears, because I don't waste my tears on ghosts." She placed the microphone down. She did not scream. She did not cry. She did not run. She turned around slowly and walked back down the aisle. Past the frozen guests, past the cameras, past everything. I followed her, right behind her, like I should have been all along. Behind us, chaos opened like a door blown off by wind. Nathan shouting, Monica screaming, guests talking in shocked voices, phones out everywhere, recording. But Zoe did not look back. Not once. Within hours, everything changed for Nathan. The brands canceled his contracts one by one. His followers disappeared like water into sand. He tried to post a response video. Millions of angry reactions. He deleted it the same day, then deleted his whole account. Monica called Zoe 14 times. Zoe never answered, but Zoe did not celebrate. She did not post a victory video. She did not give interviews. In the car, she pulled the veil from her hair. She removed the diamond pins one by one and dropped them in her bag without looking at them. "Take me to the beach," she said. We sat on the sand, side by side, watching the sun go down. Orange, then pink, then deep purple. The waves came and went, quiet and gentle. Her phone buzzed with thousands of messages. She looked at the screen for a second, turned it off, and placed it in the sand. "You okay?" I asked. She watched the waves for a long time. "I lost a lot today," she said. "My career, the life I built, the future I planned." She picked up a small shell and turned it in her fingers. But I found something too. I found myself, the real me. Before the cameras and the contracts, I put my arm around her. She leaned her head on my shoulder. We sat like that until the stars came out. "I need to tell you one more thing. The hardest thing. For a long time, I did not understand my sister. I did not understand why she stayed with Nathan after finding those messages. I did not understand why she sat through that meeting with Monica. I did not understand why she practiced fake smiles instead of packing her bags. I thought she was weak. I am ashamed to say that now, but it is the truth. I stood on the outside, watching from aside, and I judged my little sister. I thought she was too afraid to leave, too trapped, too small, but I was wrong. Completely, painfully wrong. Zoe was not weak. She was never weak. She was waiting. She was choosing her moment with more patience and courage than I have ever had. She was making sure that when she walked away on her own terms, not Nathan's, not Monica's, not anyone else's. She was not trapped in a cage. She was building the key. And I was too busy feeling sorry for her to see it. Sometimes you have to let everything fall apart to build something real. My sister taught me that. And sometimes, the people we love are much stronger than we think. We just need to stand close, stay quiet, and trust them, even when we do not understand. That is what I learned. Loving her from aside. I learned it late. Maybe too late. But I learned it. Thank you for listening to this story. If it touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Zuno English Storytime and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. We share new English stories every week to help you learn and feel something real at the same time. See you in the next one.